Hey there, welcome to our 2020 end of year review of Epiphany Station. This is an opportunity for us to talk about all the things that have happened in our previous year, and so we found a real nice quiet spot to do that so we can talk about our year, and so I want to welcome you to it. That's something else. Hey there, welcome to our Epiphany Station end of year review for 2020. And you might be feeling like you don't want to review 2020, but we get to, because what we want to do with this time is just through one smooth take, just have conversations about all the things that God has done over the last year. It's our opportunity to give him praise and glory for all the things he's done that we've been able to see. And I want to take you to Psalm 100. It's kind of like a pretext for why we're doing this end of year review. It says, "Shout with joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him singing with joy. Acknowledge that the Lord is God. He made us and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Go into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good. His unfailing love continues forever, and his faithfulness continues to each generation." And so we started this year with the kind of mentality of being excited about what was to come. I remember all the way back in January, we talked about how we were going to lay out this plan that we had for some staffing things and all these other things, but always with the mentality that we don't always know what's coming around the corner. But we actually started like in January and February with a few kind of key things that I think set us up really well for the year. Like our first teaching series of the year was how to rest. And I think maybe for those of us who have had to work from home and try and balance like the homework thing, and maybe when we've had our kids out of school doing distance learning, like learning how to rest was maybe a really good thing for us to talk about in January. In February, our teaching series was the theology of love. And so I'm like, love and rest, probably some really good things for us to hold on to throughout all of 2020. We ran our DTC classes, we did 21 days of prayer, we did all these things that I believe were really good preparation for what God was going to lead us through in the next year. And then in March, kind of like in the middle of the month, that's when the lockdown started to come in on COVID-19. And for the first time in the last 12 years, Epiphany Station had to close down its in-person worship experiences, along with churches that have been around for hundreds of years having to close down their in-person Sunday morning worship. And it was kind of weird, it's kind of crazy, and everything had to adapt, like everything had to change. And so I want to give my first real big shout out for this end of year review into what God has done in prepping our leadership to be able to deal with things like this. And the first and the biggest thing is there's a group of people that are part of Epiphany Station, been a part of Epiphany Station for a long time, but which really lead us spiritually from the top down, making sure that we're following our mission and vision and obeying Christ in all things. And those are our overseers. And right now our overseers are comprised of Tim Fultz, Darren Asp, and Cole Hamry. And these guys are the guys that really oversee us as a staff and oversee us as a leadership team and oversee me, and just kind of I get to go and rest on their wisdom and lean on them in times of difficulty. And it's been a difficult year, and we've had meetings every single week to make sure that we're still doing what we're here to do. And so I just want to give a shout out to those guys, and if you know who they are, if you ever see them, just give them due credit for the work they've done over this last year of bearing kind of the spiritual weight of everything that we have gone through. And then we're just going to take like a cut there, John, right? Because I can't do it all in one take. I'm not that good. I'm just going to take some time just through one smooth take. There we go. So mid-March came and we had to shut everything down, and we've had like online worship services for some time now, but never to the degree which we thought we would want to invest in them. And then mid-March happened. And basically we grabbed our production guy, John, who's actually recording this right now and stood right behind the camera, and I'm going to talk about him. Hi, John. And we came up with this plan of how to do everything that we do on a Sunday morning, but try and doing it online. And we had a lot of fun with it. Like, I'll be honest, like it started out just like live streaming on a Sunday morning. The team would come in like 10 people or less back in the day in March. And then we moved to Saturdays, and we would kind of just record some chunks of stuff, and so John could stitch it all together. And we had a lot of fun. Like, you might not know this about me, but I am an avid dancer, and so therefore there's some footage out there somewhere, sneakily hidden in the archive. Hold up, yeah. Come on, son. Holly, I'm opening a dance academy. I want you to come. We'll mainly just be doing this move.
Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, but this is the aerial. This is the good stuff. What are you talking? A big shout out to the team that made that happen, which was obviously all of our music and worship team, but then we had Emily Vasilik's running cameras, Tim Langley was running our computer system, and Holly Van Squake running our Pro Presenter stuff, and they were doing that every Saturday for quite some time. And just a lot of dedication to adapt and make sure that we could still do what we're here to do, embrace people into the family and present the gospel week after week after week. And so we had a lot of fun with it. A lot of things changed though. We had to bring Celebrate Recovery to a close. And we don't even know when we can bring that back. It's one of those things that is so intimate and so in person that until things are opened up again, we don't know what we'll be able to do with that. A lot of our people were able to adapt really well. And so Jason and Crystal Leader, they brought that to a really good close as leaders of Celebrate Recovery. We had Rob Mickelson over our small groups do a great job of adapting and shifting over the last kind of 9 months to still be able to have these small groups of people meeting well together. Our discipleship training class leaders, the Zachs, Alan and Naomi, have done a good job of maintaining an ability to teach over Zoom and then also back to in-person this fall. I had some great work done by our manager of operations, Kelly. I don't know if you know what Kelly does, but sometimes you'll see her here and there, but she oversees our financial situation, which has been difficult, it's been rocky, it's been something we've had to adapt and adjust month after month after month this year. She oversees our facilities and a brand new cleaning team. She oversees our communication, which has been huge in this last season. Our care team, Paul and Linda Ramsey and Kathy Orstad, that kind of work closely with Pete Lee, one of our pastors, that really at the start of all this, they sent out over 400 cards of encouragement, kind of helping connect with people that aren't so technologically connected to make sure that we're still being the church to them. Also, so much happened with our music team. And so we had Mary working so hard with people like Charlie Van Squake and Sapphire Walker and others through that first chunk there to get that going really well. So much happened, so many things that we had to kind of adjust and adapt and change and move again. Brian German working really hard with our financial team to make sure we were squared away. And I'm just so proud of us as a team. We're not ones to boast about Epiphany Station. We don't boast about us as leaders, but we do boast about what God does. And this year has been amazing to see us not crumble, to not fail, to not fall, but to actually come closer together as a team, to be more cohesive. And so then we saw some opportunities. Got to May time, we were like, okay, this might last for a long time. And so we said, what can we do? We actually reached out to a bunch of other churches and say, hey, we can do outside church. Do you want to do outside church with us? And so we actually talked to a local company in town. It's got a massive parking lot. And we said, hey, could we host a big event in your parking lot? They said yes, which was kind of surprising, but amazing, an amazing blessing to us. And then I think it was with 5 other churches, we hosted our first ever Church in the Lot. It's an amazing big worship experience in which several different pastors were able to lead us in teaching. And we just had an amazing time gathering the whole Church of Thief River together for an event like that. We were able to do the prayer walk in August, again, partnering with several other churches to do that. Not out of a thing that shows that we're in charge or boastful or anything, but just praying for our community. And that was 58 different routes throughout the city with 120 people signed up that walked through our city, praying for our city, praying for our success, praying that God would do mighty things. We did our first ever drive-up baptism. And that was amazing. We set up the baptism tank, we let people know, and about a dozen people came to be baptized in the middle of the year, in the middle of COVID. We just adjusted, we just adapted. We started our Sunday night worship night, which is kind of low key, lower numbers, more social distance spacing. That led us to a place of being kind of amazed at how much God grew that we decided to continue that into the fall. And we actually commissioned 3 young leaders Ali Caro, Josiah Darude, and Charlie Van Squake to lead that ministry with our oversight, to be able to bring a completely different expression of worship to our community. And that has been going incredibly well throughout these fall and winter months, and we couldn't be more excited for what they're doing. You see, it has been a year in which if we panicked, we would have just kind of tightened everything down and locked everything down. And a lot of things did tighten down. But also this has been an amazing year of ministry. An amazing year of seeing people come closer to God, seeing them hear from Him more clearly, seeing them serve one another and love one another to a greater degree. We have seen what it means to be the church this year. And I think one of the greatest things that has happened is the things that God has done in people's lives. And so now I want to show you a collection of people's testimonies of what God has shown them this year.
2020, I've learned that you just let go and let God, and what you think might be going one way is going to go a total different way. So just relax, God's in control, and just allow Him to be in control.
I've learned a lot this year. I feel like this year was a lot of growth and a lot of learning. I feel like what I learned the most out of 2020 is how to love people better, even if we don't share the same opinions as each other, and also how to be more like Jesus and show others how to be more like Jesus.
So one of the things that I've learned from COVID this past year is that toilet paper is essential. No, really what I've learned this past year is how to rethink church. COVID has forced me and us to completely change how we do church, and we've had to become creative. We've had to use the resources we have well, and make new ways to connect with each other and build a relationship and build community. And so, yeah, that's one of the things that I have learned this year is how to rethink church and put it outside of the box that I normally put it in.
It sure was a confusing year to find out what really was truth. So what I learned was there's only one truth we can really stand on, and that's the Word of God and how He sent His Son Jesus.
For 2020, I've learned that people need people more than they realize.
When the whole quarantine started out, I at first was very excited. I was working from home and got to have more time with the family, and everything was really going sweet. But as it drug on, I learned that unfortunately our human nature and struggles and sin doesn't leave you alone just because you lock yourself in your house. It just might change a little. And so then as time kept going on through what the Lord was teaching me and through church and then through our small group was that you still need close, authentic friends, whether you meet over Zoom or whether you can meet in person. You need somebody that's sharp, that kind of calls you out on stuff, and that you can be totally honest with, just for watching out for each other's best interest, kind of mutually taking care of each other, that we're still fighting against human nature and fighting to live the way Jesus wants us to. And I guess I thought it was all going to be kind of easy street when I didn't have to deal with the outside world, and it turned out that it's still challenging. It still takes discipline, it still takes time with the Lord, and it still takes that close Christian community. That's what I learned in 2020.
So 2020 has been crazy, with just shutting down everything like that, and I just had a really tough year with that, and just feeling like I need to control my life and I need to control everything, the ministry, everything. And God just said, do you want to be in control or do you want me to be in control? And that was huge because I just wanted everything to go like it was going and nothing ever to change. But it's been a year of pivoting and changing and doing different things. But God has definitely brought me to a place where I've had to rely on Him a lot more, and I've made it way more priority to spend time with God, just even whole days at a time, just spending time and loving Him and reading the Word and doing devotionals. And the biggest thing I've learned from that is that we need to be more like Jesus. in everything that will help every relationship, marriage, family, parenting, ministry, everything. The more we're like Jesus and the more we love like him and act like him, the better our lives are going to be and better our relationships will be.
I don't think I so much as learned much in 2020, but I was given an opportunity to put into practice things that I had learned in previous years. And that is to enjoy the moment that you're in, because this too shall pass. Choose to bring happiness and gratefulness and joy, or we can choose to just be miserable.
I've learned how to be more grateful for the things I've got, because we don't know what we really have until it's taken away from us. And that Christ has to be in the center of it all, because without that I wouldn't be able to be grateful.
It just re-emphasized the importance of people. People need people, and that's God's design for our lives. When people aren't able to connect with people, I think we get a sense of how that works out versus the way he made us to be was to love each other, to love him, and to recognize that he conveys his grace and his mercy through other people, and so works pretty well when we can connect.
Can you believe we're getting this all in one take? This is absolutely amazing. Can't do it all in one take, I'm not that good. So for us, that's what really matters. Because what matters to God is people, and how we're changing, and how we're loving him, and we're loving people better and better, more and more. And so if you're a part of Epiphany Station, I want to thank you, not for being part of Epiphany Station, but for allowing God to work in your life so that your testimony, your witness, is showing the rest of the world what happens when the rest of the world panics. Like when everything else is going crazy, how we still get to depend on the Lord, how we still get to sing his praises. This year, in this crazy year, we saw 26 people be baptized as followers of Jesus Christ. We saw countless people notify us that they'd made first-time decisions to be followers of Jesus. We saw people continue in small groups and get close in community, 70, 80 people. We saw DTC class run. We saw 275 people on average making Sunday their worship experience together. We saw so many of these amazing things while the rest of the world was panicking and afraid. And that's what I'm happy about. That's what I love being a leader of Epiphany Station for. Because this is not about us. It's not about what we think. It's not about what we plan. It's about what God wants to get done. And we simply get to celebrate in that. A lot of things have changed this year, and I want to give you this encouragement because a lot of things have changed this year, but one thing has not. The thing that has not changed is who our God is and what he is doing in our lives. What he is doing in our lives is for our good, and we get to rely and we get to depend on that. And so again, I want to share with you, going into this next year, to have this maybe up on a wall somewhere, have it in your phone, have a reminder to go to Psalm 100, because this right here is what we need most. Psalm 100 says, "Shout with joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him singing with joy. Acknowledge that the Lord is good. He made us and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Go into his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name, for the Lord is good. His unfailing love continues forever, and his faithfulness continues to each generation." That's who our God is. That's who we serve. That's why we embrace outsiders into the family. And that's why we're looking forward to 2021. Because it's going to be another year, another season in which we get to do the ministry we're called to. So thank you again for being part of the family, and take this opportunity now, this break, this whatever you're in, to be able to think and ask and hear from God what it is about the next year that you get to be excited about, that he's going to call you to next, that he's going to change in you next. Because that is the God that we serve, the one who is faithful generation after generation after generation. Thanks for being here with us for this end of year review, and I hope the rest of your day is a stellar one. And I am actually really impressed, John. We got it all in one. Perfect. We're good at what we do. So yeah. So we're gonna talk. What the? Yep. Everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nothing blew up. Bye. Good. But I don't get things wrong. I just nail it every single time. You recording stuff? Yep. Oh. I was gonna say stuff. Yeah, I was gonna say stuff. Yeah.